The Matthew Dark Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, praise God and welcome in. So good to be with you. This is the Matthew Dark Show. Now, we've all seen the white sprays going through the sky, the cloudy days that have turned into something else. What is up with that? What is going on in the skies above us? Divided issue where not everybody believes that your own government would be involved in weather and weather data manipulation. That is not the case. There is a precedent-setting case. It's going to happen. GeoFight is the organization. Attorney Blake Horwitz joins us. Now, this is such important work that you're doing. It involves so much. We have whistleblower information. We have data being manipulated. And I think the most breathtaking of all is the chemical introduction into our environment with the intent to manipulate weather and then to kind of package up this whole global warming, climate change thing. It's all come, but that's a fraud and that's being exposed right now. There's been some bad behavior. Mr. Horwitz, I'm so grateful you joined us. If you could just bring us up to speed on how this case became under your lead, where it stands, what are we getting into? It's a complex case. I know the filing and all of that to bring this to a filed case. Want to welcome you, sir. If you could just introduce this case for us and really the meats behind it.
Sure. Well, first of all, my name is Blake Horwitz, and I'm one of the attorneys that's part of what's called the GeoFight. So actually, if people want to learn more about us, it's at thegeofight.com. And what this case is about, it's a whistleblower case. So what means is that it's designed to disclose information to the public. He himself blew the whistle, and by him blowing the whistle, he was retaliated against in his work. And so there are many kinds of whistleblower cases, and this case falls within that same paradigm. In this instance, what it concerns is weather. It concerns the science of weather, in basically what's called atmospheric science. And so the scenario goes like this. My client, his name is Justin Mabie. He was working at the University of Colorado, which has tremendous funding from the federal government through NOAA. And NOAA is people don't know, it's basically the arm of the federal government that's designed to understand weather, understand oceanic conditions and things of that nature. So it's a branch of the federal government, just like NASA is a branch of the federal government. We all know what NASA does. So NOAA handles the weather throughout the world and handles issues associated with the ocean. So my client was what's called a record historian. He was somebody that was in charge of maintaining the data on behalf of the United States and the United Nations with regards to the Earth's weather. So the data goes back a real long time. It goes back into the days when people were generating reports and making recordings via hand, using 35mm film, all these different types of historical techniques to understand the Earth's weather. Now, it's important to have a record of the Earth's weather, because if you don't have a record of the Earth's weather, then you cannot make a claim that there's climate change, right? Climate change just comes from history and from a proper data historian's point of view, or data record keeping with regards to history. So if the data is bad, as we all know, garbage in, garbage out. So if the data gets destroyed, then it's hard to know what the data is. And then people are just guessing, or they're creating convenient stories. In this case, that's what's happening. What happened is that historical data was destroyed on one occasion. He blew the whistle. Historical data was destroyed on a second occasion. He blew the whistle. And when he blew the whistle the second time, he started to get retaliated at work, up including termination. So where did he work? Again, he worked at the University of Colorado, and a lot of people don't know, this is an institution that receives about $1 billion a year from the federal government, $1 billion a year. Much of that is used for atmospheric research. So we all remember our college years and what colleges were about. You know, maybe people were drinking beer, having parties, studying, things of that nature. This college receives $1 billion a year from the federal government. a big chunk of that is used for what's called atmospheric research. And the federal government works with the University of Colorado with NOAA, right? So NOAA is the atmospheric research folks along with the ocean, but they study atmospheric research. So what happened is these folks work hand in hand. NOAA and the University of Colorado, they work hand in hand in a partnership agreement. So they have a lot of expensive equipment. They study the atmosphere. They do a lot of research. They receive a lot of money. And so, as we know, when an institution receives money, well, guess what? They want to continue to receive money.
That's right.
So one of the ways to continue to receive money is to create a narrative that is, hey, yeah, we want to keep receiving funding. So we're going to tell you that the climate is in danger. The climate is warming up. So if we say that, then you got to give us more money in order to continue on with the research. So I'm not saying the Earth is not warming up or something along those lines, but there's an issue relative to speed with which it's heating up and also the causes. So at the end of the day, if the historical weather is destroyed, then it's easier to make up a cause. It's easier to make up a story relative to how fast it's heating up. And this is what's occurred in this case, where convenient history then becomes what science is determining is our history, right? A conveniently related history, which justifies a future scientific inquiry or future events. So for example, if we say, the Earth's really heating up fast and we have a lot of dangers right now. You know what we need to do? We need to invest billions of dollars into private organizations and the US government, and we need to paint the sky. We need to change our sky. We need to reflect the sun back into the atmosphere so that it doesn't get so hot. But here's the reality. Number one, that's not true and it doesn't work, because what happens is when you cap, as we have seen for what's going on right now, if you cap the cloud structure, right? You create a cloud structure where the sun does permeate and it heats the ground. The heating of the ground has no place to escape if it's very cloudy. So what happens is the Earth's radiation normally would escape through the absence of clouds, which happens at night. So we all know that at night is when we see the stars and it's very pretty and whatnot. Now what's happening is that the atmospheric conditions are of such, because of how they're painting the sky, the atmospheric conditions are such that the cloud cover remains at night, which is a time of dissipation. So the Earth heats up during the day with the sun, and then at night, the historical way, the way Earth functioned previously, was that the heat from the daytime would leave at night and it would cool things down. Now nightimes are getting warmer, the heat's not dissipating, and then the Earth will increase in temperature because they are painting the sky. So not only are they painting the sky, right, putting all this excessive cloud cover, which is coming out of airplanes, which we've all seen.
Yes.
But it's also a contaminant. In other words, at a minimum, you're getting sulfur dioxide, you're getting particulate matter, which is really small particles that are coming down from the airplane gases, and it's contaminating our land, it's contaminating our air. All one needs to do to figure this out is just look at the studies that have occurred around airports, and you'll see that around airports, the incidence of diseases associated with the change in atmosphere is double. So for example, there's going to be more bronchial conditions and things of that nature, more Alzheimer's from people actually consuming through their breathing or through their skin aluminum. So there's a huge incidence around the airports, and anybody can look that up. So you need to ask yourself the question, well, if it's around the airports so much, and obviously the planes are taking off and they're landing around the airports, it's easily then to make an inference that, well, maybe there's something in the sky when you have literally 80 million flights a year traveling around Earth, 80 million. So maybe it's 50 million. Based on this, it says, it all, everything varies, but let's just assume it's 50 million, right? So There's a lot of air traffic and there's a lot of concerns. So that's the general synopsis of what the case is about. There's a lot more to talk about, but that's the generally.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I want to make sure we have a couple of things moving here. We have fraud, the manipulation of this data or the covering of data to support an ongoing, the climate. We're at imminent risk of losing Mother Nature and Earth if we don't. So we've made fraudulent data. But then this airplane exhaust, I mean, there is a dedicated chemical introduction to do this, or is this just a byproduct of so much traffic from the airplanes? I mean, we see these things, and chemtrails is what they're calling them. You hear that word in the culture. Some people say that, no, there's nothing going on there. That's just airplane exhaust. Is there an effort to introduce chemicals that are causing a reaction that are unnatural to jet fuel exhaust to propagate this ongoing warming?
Well, it's a complicated question, and it's also an unnecessary question for the time being.
Okay.
The reason why it's complicated is because you have a lot of different flights from that we see, right, that we all see from commercial airlines. So if the question is, with the passing of each commercial airline, is each airline using fuel that's doped or contaminated? So
Yes.
sometimes people use the word doped, meaning altered. So that's a question, but and I'll answer that in a moment. But let's look at what we know. What we know is that the United States government in EPA's own website admits that by the mere existence of the same trails that you're talking about, forget about the content of the trail, but that the very same trail you're talking about, the EPA admits that it is causing geoengineering, meaning that the Earth's weather is changing merely because of those trails. So they call it condensation trails. Okay. For the sake of this discussion and just to understand things, I say, who cares?
Right.
Because what's occurring is geoengineering is occurring, anthropogenic change of the weather. And then what they want to do as a result of that is throw more crap up into the air in order to deal with the already existing crap that's up in the air. So let's talk about fuels now, getting back to your original question. So anybody can also look this up. What fuels are being used? Well, there's fuels that are what's called sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF. What is that? Sustainable aviation fuel. So many airlines will admit, you just do a Google search and you'll see, ask the question, what airlines are using SAF fuels? What are SAF fuels? Well, many SAF fuels are derived from biosludge. What's biosludge? Biosludge is the fecal matter of human beings and all of the, basically wherever all of our plumbing goes, whatever our sewage, for example, where it ends up into the treatment plants, that's biosludge. If anybody remembers, recently, biosludge was used as what's called organic matter for farms. You know, let's treat it, let's compost it. And now we got wonderful organic matter for farms, or by organic, I mean matter that's is of an organic nature. I'm not saying it's clean like organic, but it is of an organic nature. Those farms using biosludge had to shut down because the farms were devastated by bacteria. The animals were dying, and they all had to shut down because the biosludge was a contaminant, a horrible contaminant. And people who loved farming could no longer farm on their family farm anymore after they used biosludge. So this biosludge is part of the fuel that's being used, well documented, easy to figure out, easy to see, and easy to understand its origin. So that is one of the concerns that I have with regards to what's called SAF fuels. And right now it is a pretty good top level secret to actually know what the fuel contents are and what happens when it combusts. In other words, I challenge anybody to go look it up and let's see if the airlines are being clear with us about what is going on that we see that everybody's freaking out about that's painted over our skies. And why isn't it easy for us to see exactly what's in that white cloud particulate matter that we see? We all see it more, and that's what's occurring. So I say it doesn't matter if we know at the present time, right? It doesn't matter if we know the exact science behind what's there. What we do know, or what's logical, it isn't what the government says it is, which is just water vapor. That is not true. It is not just water vapor. And how do I know that? Again, just go back to the airports. Are the airports just inundated with water vapor? Does everybody go around the airport and they feel this wonderful kind of humid, water vaporous, clean atmosphere? No, it's disgusting. It's dirty. And it's dirty within a 5 mile radius, 5 to 10 mile radius of the airports. And if you look up the research, which we have on our website at the geofight.com, if you look up the research with regards to the level of disease and maladies and unfortunate conditions that people are suffering from around the airports and the condition of the atmosphere, the condition of, one second, the atmospheric conditions. If you look that up, you will see that there are what's called particulate matter, which is small little particles. And those small little particles are hovering into the atmosphere. When I say small, they're about 1/1000th of a foot. And very small particles, they're called ultrafine particles or particulate matter. And they're in the atmosphere and people are breathing them in. They could be aluminum dust, they could be barium, they could be a whole bunch of other things, right? The contents of the biosludge, for example. And no matter what anybody can say, the studies are well demonstrated around the airports that that's what's going on. So if that's what's occurring at the airports, then it is obviously not just water vapor that they want us to believe, like frozen water vapor. I can get it in a more complicated fashion, but I'm trying to keep it at a level where everybody can take it in relatively easily.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And we've seen the government patents and all this on what weather modification. Do we have an idea where they activated this changed, where we did have now new health concerns at airports? We can go back and say these lines didn't exist. The painting didn't exist in the 90s. Do you have any idea where they began to implement this mysterious new vapor coming from planes and these efforts?
Well, the studies at the University of Colorado began about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And the initiation of atmospheric change started a long time ago, meaning at least the 1940s, 1950s. And it was actually in 1964 that it was done for military reasons. So the notion of being able to change the atmosphere has actually been around for a long time. And engaging in an aggressive tactic in order to change our atmosphere seems to have been heated up, to coin a phrase, over the last 10 years. But there's been a lot of study about this for a very long time. And the other thing that, we need to really think about, if people are asking themselves the questions, well, is there any legitimacy behind what's being said? There's many reasons to understand it. Stand there is, without researching NOAA papers and just looking at the science. And that is, as you mentioned, there's a heck of a lot of patents by the United States government that are designed for the exclusive purpose of changing the weather. There's a heck of a lot of patents by private industry that are designed for the exclusive purpose to change the weather. The United States government spends millions and millions of dollars a year for the exclusive purpose of understanding how to change the weather. Private industry right now, private industry today being April 30th, is allowed to come into the United States, go into our atmosphere, and contaminate it. All they have to do is give NOAA 10 days notice. So if today's April 30th and April 20th, if they gave NOAA 10 days notice by uploading a document identifying what they're putting in the air, NOAA cannot stop it. NOAA does not stop it. They say, thank you very much for the document. Go take care of business. And they take care of business. And that's what they're allowed to do right now. So I'll say it again. Private companies are allowed to go into the atmosphere and pollute the atmosphere, contaminate the atmosphere under the justification of engaging in geoengineering, as long as they give notice to NOAA. And that's all they need to do. Why do they do it? Because there's an economy that's created around this. What's the economy? The economy is you get a carbon credit. Like I sell a service called let me go and contaminate the atmosphere in order to reflect the sun. Pay me $20,000. Now you go get a carbon credit and you can go pollute somewhere else. That's what's going on. That's the business. Our skies are literally for sale. And again, anybody can look this up. So everything I am talking about is all extremely well documented. And this isn't just some lawyer, giving a spiel. Sometimes lawyers don't have the best reputation. We put together a very extensive lawsuit that is 33 pages. It has about 64 references to it. Extensive documentation, all easy to see online, very simple to see. You go to the geofight.com. The first page allows you to download the lawsuit. You download the lawsuit. The first 4 pages are really easy to read. It's not lawyer gobbledygook. Gets a little bit more complicated as you get into it, but it's loaded with footnotes. And in these footnotes, you can see stuff that you too can look at. You too could find. All you got to do is use the citations we've given you, and you can find it on the internet. And you will see the private companies, the private patents, the publicly held patents by the U.S. government, the money that the U.S. government has spent on geoengineering and intervening in our atmosphere, and the private companies that are permitted to come in pursuant to statute, pursuant to no regulations, and do what they want to do. So all of that is readily available, and this isn't just some guy talking, wanting to give a spiel on a particular podcast. This is exactly what's transpiring, and you are welcome to study it yourself.
Excellent. Our guest is Blake Horwitz, the geofight.com. This information is out there, and there seems to be from the public a resistance to accept that our government will actually do this to us. And they are world famous for atrocities on their own people. I worry about 2 things for the American public. Are they going to take 15 minutes and go say, okay, there's something here, and now take an action on it? Of course, this is not for our health. And of course, this is not of God. This is completely demonic to come in and think that we can control the sun. How has this been received, the idea, as you're building these cases? And I'm sure this is going to be precedent setting. This is going to affect more than just the University of Colorado. I would imagine this is going on nationwide. What's the response just from people? They're like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, or thank you for doing this work because it was going to kill us all if you didn't. How is the public handling this issue?
I haven't heard anybody say I'm a conspiracy theorist, not one.
Excellent.
And our lawsuit is extremely well documented. We put forth the work. We put in a lot of time, hundreds of hours. It's almost like a research paper. And and what's there is readily available for everybody to see. So, I mean, you can say conspiracy theorist. I mean, in the legal world, I don't even know what that means, because we don't use the word conspiracy like people use it nowadays. Conspiracy just means that people are acting together to get something done. It doesn't mean that it's false. It's just a misnomer. It's a wrong use of the word designed to manipulate and to toss somebody's argument without any thinking. So people can conspire to do many things. You can conspire to do good things or conspire to do bad things.
True.
It just means you're acting with other people to do something. Now it means you're falsifying. So, and that's not true. That's not what the word really means. But regardless, no one has suggested that we have falsified anything. They're all able to look at the information. And it's, again, extremely well documented. So if somebody wants to dispute it, I'm happy to talk to them about it. But that wouldn't be the smartest thing to do. 1 + 1 = 2 here, no matter what you say.
What kind of impact do you see on a successful verdict and outcome? I mean, this is like a lot on the stake for the government to have this peeled back and exposed. You'd go back and find the same kind of thing with the COVID-19 shots and the fraud, and the misrepresentations of all of that. This has a lot bigger impact than just our climate, doesn't it? This is what your government was actively doing, and we have exposure that this was not in our best intention. Don't you see it as societal moving for the good?
I honestly, if I thought that society was moving for the good, I probably wouldn't have gotten involved in this, to be honest with you. I was compelled to do this. I didn't really want to do it, to be honest with you. I have a successful practice and have a happy personal life, and I didn't want to spend 24/7 working on this case, which is what we're doing and what we all committed to. But when I understood what was going on, I had to get involved. And
Yeah.
so I don't sense we're moving towards good. I think that over time, everybody gets a chance to see what the US government's about. And I'm not here to trash the US government. I think people inherently all over the world need to be checked. And obviously, even the creation of our own government was done with the understanding, meaning when they were generating the Declaration of Independence and creating our Constitution, it was done with the understanding that people have tremendous problems with corruption and there needs to be a check and balance. So um, we are using the court system in order to elucidate a huge problem and to blow the whistle on it and get people informed. And it seems to be there's a constant need for this, right? It happened with COVID. It's happened with so many things. And you can use the word conspiracy theory if you want to just have an unintellectual conversation about it. But if you want to have an intelligent conversation, get educated. We made it very easy for people to learn what's going on just by looking at the complaint. I know it's a legal complaint, it's a legal document, that might make people nervous. But quite frankly, we really try to set it out so that it's easy to understand. And we have a lot of videos on it. People can go to the geofight.com. We explain it. You're welcome to just give us your email address and we'll send you a truckload of information. And it's not designed to manipulate you. It's designed to educate. And that's really what we're about.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful you're saying it and setting it up that way, because we're not trying to convince you. We believe that if you're given truthful information on whatever subject, you will come to the right conclusion if you're willing to accept truth. And this is happening. It must be addressed. It is not going to end up well for our health. The airport statistics prove that to be true. It's a whistleblower case. So then your whistleblower, your client, is going to be a critical element of this case going forward. I wonder, are you getting any others, the courage to whistleblow? I mean, if CU's getting $1 billion, I guarantee there's other institutions around the world working towards this. Any other whistleblowers, or is this kind of a moment to get whistleblowers to emerge? And it's an all-out attack on what has been going on. What do you think on that?
Well, both have happened. So we've had people come forward as whistleblowers. We have another interesting whistleblower that we've had some discussions with. But we would like everybody to come forward. We recommend just so many things, but absolutely, we would love to hear from more whistleblowers, individuals who have something important to say, and they're out there, and they know they're out there. And the question of whether they feel comfortable. So our client, his name is Justin Mabie. He is an atmospheric scientist, and is pretty high up there with both NOAA and the University of Colorado. And quite frankly, right now, he's working for Bobby Kennedy right now in the executive branch for Health and Human Services. So his goal is to really make a difference in this arena. And we're very lucky to have him as a client. This guy really knows his stuff, and he was in charge of the world's historical records for quite a while. So it's a pleasure to be able to have a gentleman like this to support.
No kidding. That's great. You mentioned Kennedy. The reception of this concept that you can't be doing this, it's hurting people. Is that being well received in HHS and in those kind of entities at the government level? Or are you getting any feedback there on at least Kennedy's? If it's MAHA, we have to deal with the skies too, not just the food and the medicines.
There's no question about it. I think there's only so much that Bobby Kennedy can do all at one time, because every turn the man takes is going to be a special interest. Obviously, there's only so far he could go with keeping the food clean, because there's a whole truckload of multi-billion-dollar organizations that want to contaminate our food with glyphosate. So this scenario with chemtrails and atmospheric poisoning, this is the same thing. I see it as just another way to get something akin to glyphosate in the food supply and into people's bodies. Sorry to say, but that is the way I see it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, President Trump has signed an executive order granting immunity to those producing glyphosate. And, that is in direct opposition of the MAHA movement. So that's why this is such important work to bring this out. And again, we're not trying to stir up the public, but you do need to have this information as you go blindly into the future with your children. We live in an inflated economy. dangerous food, dangerous medicines, open borders, and criminal. We just have to start to absorb that this has gotten off track and it's not for the people by the people right now. The geofight.com attorney Blake Horwitz is leading this case. What's the timing? How is all this setting up for next step in the case?
Well, we're serving the lawsuit on the University of Colorado, and there's a lot of work to be done. The good news is that we front loaded the information to make it available. So I think our most important piece in this case is getting this filed. Because again, just getting it filed allows me to be on your show and other shows. I'm going to be testifying today in front of the South Carolina legislature. And just getting this filed enables people to wake up and get the data for themselves. So it's a very exciting moment in time in order to be able to make a difference. The legal stuff, legal stuff takes a while. It just does. And there's going to be a lot of fighting back and forth. So if I told you that the setup is that they're going to be obviously filing motions to dismiss and challenging everything that could possibly be done, and we're going to be briefing that and arguing that for a long time. I mean, that's kind of boring legal mumbo jumbo, but that obviously would be the next step that we'd be facing.
Yeah, you had to get it filed. That starts the clock. It puts it out there in the public. It is now something the government has to pay attention to. They're using the University of, $1 billion. You are listening to what do you want us to do next? Great. And then you need more. We have to stop that cycle. It's just insane to believe that you would send your children to an institution that's capable of that conduct. And just the whistleblower mistreatment alone, and that's why it's so critical to have those laws and to get the courage behind those people that there is legal reinforcement. You come forward, we're going to take care of you because we believe in the merit of your case and we know this is going on. This, I got to be honest, this is like critical work next to like vaccines and the glyphosate. I can't think of something more important on our health that's happening right now. Mind you, under the guise of we've got to spend billions and billions of dollars under this fake climate change thing that is being manufactured. We're paying cost of living through the roof. We're going in and causing environmental damage to extract lithium and the rare minerals all over the earth and it was all of it. It's a fake story, right? Because they're manipulating the data that we're receiving. This is great work, breathtaking work. I guess tell us all the ways that we can support you, follow you. We want to be able to contribute to this, follow it along. This is an American case. This affects all of us. What's all the best ways to connect with you, sir?
All right, so we've set up a very, very comprehensive website. So at the geofight.com, you can submit photographs. You can tell us your story. You can tell us how it is that you believe you've been affected by the environment, by atmospheric poisoning, or just by having less sunlight available for your garden, for your home, how that might affect you. If you want to actually document airplane travel, we have all of that available for you, where you can use a flight tracking software in order to document planes that are flying overhead. You can send us that information via email. You can send videos to us. You can, as I mentioned, you can tell us your story, or you can just simply say, you know what, I want to know more about this, and just join us. So we have in our front page, there's a little arrow bouncing there that just says join us. And then by joining us, we'll send you the information similar to what you're hearing today, further details and explanation about geoengineering, what's going on, what's the science behind it, videos from us, things of that nature. So it's pretty comprehensive. The website itself also has a lot of studies, scientific literature that explains what's going on, what happens chemically in the skies, and what the nature of the particles are in the skies and whatnot. Many things that I'm actually talking about right now. It also has the lawsuit. So if you need to, you can communicate with us. It is basically a go-to platform to allow you to have your information understood by a lawyer and documented. And quite frankly, the information we received helped me generate this lawsuit. In other words, the GeoFight website has been up for a while. And we actually, information that I learned from the contribution people made by documenting their story is up on the website, is in this lawsuit. And lastly, it is important to know that we are 100% functioning by people's contributions. So to say that we're up against the multi-billionaire establishment, an establishment that wants to make a difference in the world by painting the skies, et cetera, and basically creating a scenario where the skies are for sale, this thing that we saw was part of a higher power or God or the first couple pages of Genesis, however you feel comfortable about it, something that we assumed was not to be meddled by man, right?
Yes.
That's gone. That unfortunately is a no longer. And so, I don't like to scare people. I like to inform, and we make it our purpose not to be sort of a clickbait type material. It is our goal to inform, and we're providing a lot of knowledge, a lot of information for people to access. So you go to the geofight.com. You can contribute financially if you choose. You can contribute by providing us information. Tell everybody about it. Join us. It's free, and we send you free information. And the goal, of course, is just to get the message out there and get people educated.
Thank you for that. It's so critical that we are educated. There are 1,000 things flying at us. Last thought, with success of bringing this to the public, with success of a verdict and proper compensation for all the harm that's been done to your client, does this set itself up for a larger class action type thing, asbestos and mesothelioma? I mean, can this trend to that where the government maybe has 100 million people affected by this misconduct? And we do know that a lot of these health symptoms that we have right now are somewhat connected to. Does it have big reach like that long term?
I think it can, yes.
Awesome. Okay. Well, this is great work. I want to make sure that we're funding, following, supporting this. It's so critical this happens. The biggest thing is be ready to receive truth. Don't have pride. Don't be thinking my government would never do this. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Don't be adverse to the truth when the facts are staring you in the face. Mr. Horwitz, I want to thank you so much. I want to give you great blessings today as you testify. We'll do this again. We'll get the show and the links up everywhere. And just God bless your efforts. We're so grateful. Folks, do this until next time. Serve the Lord. Tell a friend about him. Stay good. God bless everybody.
The Matthew Dark Show, your one-stop show for truth, courage, fellowship, and faith. Available everywhere you get your podcasts.